Well, let's bring in Tawhid Asadi. He is joining us now from Tehran. And Tawhid, since we last spoke, we have been seeing Iran reporting another attack on the Shahran oil depot in Tehran. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, I can say that it happened, but specifically when it comes to details, so far we don't have that much of information. We saw smoke coming out of the scene. It was said that the sort of oil storage center was targeted, but still the extent of damage is not that much. So it might be a superficial targeting of that place. But a few seconds ago, before I start this segment, we saw Iranian air defense system being activated here in the capital, and just behind me I was seeing the interception of flying objects by this air defense system. Sounds of explosion were heard few seconds ago. And it seems that escalation is getting high and high as we heard about Iranian missile attacks to the Israeli territories. And as we know that from yesterday up until the moment, we are observing a continuation of Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear sites, on Iran's military targets, and on Iran's civilian places, civilian buildings, which has remained casualties, military casualties, including top military advisors. For instance, I can refer to Hossein Salami, the IRGC commander who was assassinated yesterday, as well as top nuclear scientists. What takes place right now is unprecedented, and it's going to pave the way for further escalations. Iran, minutes ago, if not hours, announced that it has begun its, let's say, missile attacks, a hybrid offensive attack, according to a statement that came out from IRGC, saying that a new wave, quote unquote, of hybrid offensive operations, codenamed True Operation 3, with many drones and missiles, are started by IRGC's aerospace forces. The codename refers to the previous operations that Iran started to target Israeli, let's say, territories earlier in 2024 in response to odd strikes that the Israelis did against Iranian targets. Obviously, it goes without saying that it's not the first time that confrontation goes to a high level, but this time is unprecedented, and this is what we see on the ground. Also, if we speak and if we look at different statements coming from Iranian side, it seems that this is not the point at which Iranians are going to stop, as it goes the same when it comes to the statements that we hear from the Israeli side. It seems that both sides are telling that they are going to continue their lines of attack across the country. Here in Iran, we have heard different reports from today early in the morning about the continuation of Israeli strikes in different cities of the country, in Hamadan, in Tabriz, in Kermanshah, in Abadan, and elsewhere. We hear these reports coming about explosion sounds being heard. And also we know that military sites, specifically in near border cities, are targeted, and the air defense system is activated across the country. And speaking of the context in which located and the future possibilities, we talked with one high-ranking Iranian official, a security official, who just told us, quote unquote, Tehran is preparing itself for a prolonged confrontation and will increase its attacks. And as I'm reporting behind me, I hear the sounds of explosion related to interception of flying objects by the Iranian air defense system. Also, this high-ranking security official told Al Jazeera that Iran did not start the war, but it will determine how the end of this aggression is going to be. So far, this is what we have on the ground. The state TV is covering
Tawhid, I just want to jump in there, because as you say, you're hearing explosions behind you. I'm just wondering, what are people there doing right now as they are also hearing those explosions. In Israel, we can see there are shelters for people to go to. They're getting instructions that might be confusing, but there's a system in place where they go to the shelter and then they're given the all clear and they can come out. What happens to people in Tehran?
No, here in Tehran, I didn't really see people going to shelters. What I saw was a mixture of different sentiments, specifically yesterday when I was at the scene of one of these explosions, when a university, let's say, building, it was not actually a university building, but it was a residential apartment which housed university professors. It was attacked, and in that building, it was Iranian top nuclear scientist Dr. Tehranchi, who was killed alongside with his family and a number of civilians. And there I had a chance to talk to people. I went to different other scenes and I also talked to them. And as I told you, we see a sentiment of different feelings. First, there is a sense of fear and a sense of anxiety under this circumstance. People were feeling this shadow of the war, specifically over the past weeks, when they and now you see the sounds of sirens out there, if you can hear.
We can.
And we speak to people. Now, if you speak to people, you see they are feared and they were feeling this shadow of the war over the past few weeks after the Israelis started to increase their threats against Iran, threatening to attack Iran's nuclear facilities. But now the reality on the ground is that this is not only the nuclear facilities, but residential buildings that are under attack. The footage came out from different buildings in which bodies of children and women were taken out. So we speak to people, the sentiment of fear is there, the sentiment of anxiety is there, but this is one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is a strong sense of anger, commonly shared among different citizens with different mindsets, with different mentalities. Either they are 100% or 90% or 80% agree with what government does. It's still this sense of hatred, I would say, or at least anger, is there among people pertaining to what Israelis did. And that goes without saying that attacking ordinary citizens, attacking civilian buildings adds to this sense of anger. And I spoke to them, I saw a lady who was crying before one of these buildings, saying that she lost one of her family members, and she said that we've got nothing to do with politics, we've got nothing to do with the controversies between Iran and Israel. What happens on the ground is civilians being killed, and that makes people extremely angry about what the Israelis are doing, specifically over the past 2 days. And let's keep in mind, this is not the first hostile behavior that people are seeing from the Israelis. It's a long list, including cyber attack to Iranian infrastructures, including assassination of Iranian top nuclear scientists, including attacking Iranian military officials in Lebanon, in Syria, and inside Iran, and also including the assassination of Ismail Haniyeh, who was in Tehran to attend the, let's say, inauguration ceremony of Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian. He was assassinated here in Tehran, and it was said that Israel was behind it. So with that, it's a sense of strong anger among people about the Israelis. And it was the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sending a message to Iranian people, and it was, I think, the most unwelcome message to be received here in Tehran.
Okay, Tahir, extraordinary scenes as you're talking there. I mean, extraordinary sounds, first of all, the air raid siren going off behind you, and we appreciate you staying with us to talk as Tehran is potentially about to come under another attack. The pictures that we are now seeing are from also Tehran, just outside the city. It's the Shahran oil depot, which we did get reports of just in the past hour that had come under Israeli attack. Now, these are the latest pictures that we're getting from that oil depot and the Israeli strike against that. Now, Israel has been saying, Tahir, that it has taken out many of Iran's air defenses. So clearly, there are some targets, some missiles that are getting through and hitting their targets. But are the people in Tehran, do they feel that there are enough air defences remaining that they are safe?
Well, what I can see is that interception is taking place. So this is what I can see, and this is what people in Tehran are seeing, that there are objects which are being intercepted. That means that the air defense system, at least inside the Tehran, where I can see by myself, is active, is working to some extent. But we have to keep in mind, regarding the source of these attacks, we are not sure whether it's missiles, whether it's drones or UAVs or micro drones. These are all options that could be used to attack different targets in Iran. And we have to keep in mind that every air defense system might have some limitations, and that goes the same with the Iron Dome, the Israeli system, which they talked about a lot, and now we see Iranian missiles penetrating, and Iranian people are also seeing these missiles penetrating, coming down to the Israeli territories. We know, and the Iranian people are pretty much aware, that this is not a war of rhetoric anymore. What takes place is a real war, a real confrontation in which anything could be anticipated. Again, we see this anxiety among the people. But speaking of how they trust, it seems that there is a minimum or a, let's say, certain extent of trust from among Iranians on the defense capabilities and offense capabilities of their country.
OK, that's Tahir Asadi joining us there with the very latest on the situation in Tehran.